Today I am taking you on my tour of the Shepherdess Land and Livestock operation in the Ojai Valley of California. The Ojai Valley is about 1.5 hours north of Los Angeles, and rainfall is anywhere from 15 to 21 inches per year. On this tour, Dylan takes us to 3 of their current grazing locations for their flock across the Ojai Valley. In this video, we discuss how Shepherdess Land and Livestock uses small ruminants and targeted grazing to mitigate wildfire risk for communities in Southern California. Number 2, how Cole and Dylan are actually paid for every acre they contract graze in one of the most expensive areas of the country to buy land. And number 3, how Dylan has built out a thriving direct-to-consumer, forage-fed land business in the Ojai Valley just 3 years after launching into agriculture himself. This is an abbreviated version of a full 1-hour tour available through the link below, absolutely free. So whether you join me for this 9-minute version or the 1-hour version below, I hope you enjoy.
I'm Dylan Boeken. I'm the project manager and lead shepherd at Shepherdess Land and Livestock. We graze in primarily Ojai, but Greater Ventura and Los Angeles counties, and we're standing on one of our contracts here in the center of Ojai. The objectives of Shepherdess Land and Livestock are to provide targeted grazing services to our community, primarily to mitigate fire threat, but also to mitigate invasive species, brush clearance, and improve overall soil health. This whole area burned in 2018 in the Thomas Fire, which at the time was the largest fire in California's history. Now it's the 8th largest fire. That's where a lot of our support from the community comes from. Tons of people that just lost their houses, people that lived through the conditions and want to work to improve the situation, essentially.
Talk about your meat business and how that started and what your objectives are there.
Yeah, so my business is Boakhouse Hearth and Husbandry. Founded it about 2.5 years ago. I raise at the moment primarily sheep and lamb on open pasture and in oak woodlands 365 days a year. They're given no feed supplement at all. They graze whatever the Southern California landscape has to offer. I've organized Boakhouse Hearth and Husbandry to really promote the eating of whole animals, so I primarily sell wholes and halves to restaurants, community members, and private chefs. A lamb is proportioned in such a way it's a great piece for a good-sized party, which is where a lot of these custom sheep go to. All around, I'm trying to get more utilization out of the animal, more nutrition. For anything that's not being sold as a whole animal, marketing tons of 5th quarter products like kidneys, heads, tongues, and livers, and hoping to gear more and more of the business to provide the education for integrating these sorts of practices into your home economy. Doing anything the first time is 90% of the work. Once you get that practice, then it's so much more enjoyable and it can become a normal practice in your household. I was finishing up working on my house when Cole launched this business, and we'd been in conversations for a while. And so I came right into working with her as a shepherd, mostly untrained shepherd, with the goal of starting a meat business. And so she was, from the get-go, went into supporting me on that. We consider our businesses sort of gilded in a sense where they support each other, where she can access more contracts and I can access more labor, land, and feed. And that's been a useful partnership model for us. I really tried to direct my meat business around the sale of whole animals. It's one of the ways that I want to start revivifying culinary culture that is mostly focused around pan-searing, lean cuts of meat, when there's a lot of conversations around financial access to high quality food deserts and things like that. And it's a conversation that's hard to take seriously when we're throwing away half the animal at the USDA, when people that are cash pressed only buying a steak when this is the most concentrated high value part of the animal, when there's more nutrients to be found in the shoulders and legs, in the offal, the 5th quarter cuts, the often thrown away parts of the meat, all the fat. If I'm selling to restaurants, I mostly work with chefs that will take the whole animal, break it down in-house. One of the chefs I work with halfway, and I do a lot of the work for him, as far as deboning things, and I sell them grind, and then the rest of the animal goes to other chefs. That's one thing that I've really tried to be strong about. I also want to motivate a culture of, not eating by yourself in an increasingly secular world. It's kind of the deepest connection that people have with other people is sharing a meal, and people kind of increasingly are isolating themselves and just cooking for themselves, and I really don't want to sell anyone anything that's, smaller. So this is what I encounter, especially with selling lamb, because there's a lot of people that believe they don't like lamb. We are kind of more of a pig and cow and chicken culture. And so I have this conversation a lot, and the people that believe they don't like lamb, this is the term they'll use, is gamey. Gamey is a catch-all for flavor in reality. It's when your animal tastes like the animal. It is. And the thing is, people actually don't really like chicken or cow or pig. They like corn. That's what flavor is in there. And that's why you get this sort of like chicken nugget culture where that's like all people want to eat. Taste is not something innate. It's something you learn. It's a practice of wisdom. People aren't born like enjoying good wine or like, really dark chocolate. You have to like adapt your taste buds to these sorts of things. You eat something for 2 weeks and your whole brain kind of adapts to it.
One of my biggest takeaways from my visit with Dylan was that despite skyrocketing land prices and increasingly difficult conditions for those in conventional agriculture, the landscape is teeming with unique opportunities for shepherds who are ready to think differently, willing to manage differently, and willing to put in the work. Were we to have one partnership in every county involving a shepherd and a custom butcher, food shortages, erosion, and desertified urban landscapes would no longer be a significant threat to our nation. Families would have access to nutrient-dense food at a reasonable cost. And the partnership I observed between Shepherdess Land and Livestock and Boekhouse Custom Butchery showed that this would be possible with the right amount of willing participants.
Part of the page thing? How does this work?
So hopefully I'll have like a million someday,
good,
so
good.
keep that in mind.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if we were filling up the whole... Okay, this is your book, okay.
And then Dylan, and then where you're at, Ojai Valley, and then the date.
Oh, you're
Perfect.
Yeah.